All right, hi, this is Vicki, and today we're going to take a look at Lesson 6, Masks and Channels in Photoshop CC 2019 Classroom in a Book. Masks are really fun and extremely useful. If there were one thing that I would like you to leave this class with, it would be to have you in the habit of creating masks instead of deleting pixels. So hopefully, if you're working along with me, you will leave today feeling confident about creating a mask and editing a mask and be able to do that anytime you want to hide certain parts of an image. So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to create a mask which will remove our subject from the background. We're going to refine that mask and refine it in a way that includes some more complex edges. Then we'll create a quick mask to make some changes to a selected area. We'll edit a mask using the Properties panel, manipulate an image using Puppet Warp, which is also very fun, save a selection as an alpha channel so that we can return to it, view a mask using the channels panel, and load a channel as a selection. So this takes about an hour, and you'll want to have the files that I posted in this week's module or the files that you've downloaded from peachpit.com in order to follow along with me. So in Photoshop, a mask will isolate and protect part of an image, just like masking tape protects window panes or trim when you're painting. When you create a mask based on a selection, the area you have not selected is masked or protected from editing. Excuse me. We have so much pine pollen right now that I'm really struggling with allergies. With masks, you can create and you can save consuming selections and use them again. And then in addition, you can use masks for other editing tasks, like to apply color changes or to apply filter effects to an image. You can make temporary masks, which are called quick masks, or you can create permanent masks and store them as special grayscale channels called alpha channels. Photoshop uses channels to store an image's color information also. And unlike layers, alpha channels do not print. So you can make as many as you want, and they're not going to affect your file when you go to print it. We'll look at this a little bit later. A key concept to remember in masking is that black hides and white reveals. And you'll see this as we go along. However, like in life, there's rarely anything all black or all white. And so just as in life, in Photoshop, there are shades of gray, and shades of gray will partially hide pixels depending on the gray levels. So first we'll look at the image that we're going to create using masks and channels. I have Photoshop open. Oops, I don't think you can see this yet. Hang on. I need to share my screen. There we go. Now, is everybody able to see my screen? Hopefully so. Speak up if no. All right, and I have Photoshop open. And I'm going to open up the 06N file, which is the image that we're going to create. This is going to be our magazine cover, and you've already seen this image because we used it last week when we skipped ahead to typography and we had the finished file. And what we're going to start with is 06 start. And we have a picture of a young woman against a kind of background. So immediately I'll go and save this as a working file. And as usual, I like to save it on my desktop so I can just delete it. Okay, there's a little blurb in your book about the different types of masks. So I'll just briefly go over that in case you don't have the book. But if you do have the book, you'll want to take a good look at page 145 because that kind of explains the different types. Alpha channels, channel masks, clipping masks, layer masks, vector masks. Sometimes all of these terms are interchangeable. Like a channel mask can be converted to a layer mask can be converted to a vector mask, and so on. But what they have in common is that they all store selections, and they all let you edit an image non-destructively so that you can return at any time to your original. So briefly, I'll go over the different types. An alpha channel is an extra channel that's been added to an image. It stores a selection as a grayscale image. And you can use alpha channels to store masks independently of any layer. And you can convert alpha channels back to selections. A layer mask is an alpha channel that is attached to a specific layer. A layer mask controls which part of a layer is revealed or hidden. It appears as a blank thumbnail next to the layer thumbnail in the layers panel until we add content to it. And then a black outline will appear when we have it selected. A vector mask is a layer mask made of resolution independent vector objects, not pixels. So we worked with vectors a little bit earlier, and we're going to work with them a little bit more today. Vector masks have crisp edges and are created with the pen tool or shape tools, and their thumbnails appear the same as a layer mask thumbnail. A clipping mask, which we've already used, is formed when one layer masks another. And you can use a clipping mask to confine an effect to a specific layer rather than to everything below the layer in the layer stack. Using a clipping mask clips layers to a base layer only, and only that base layer is affected. Now, a channel mask restricts editing to a specific channel. For example, a cyan channel in a CMYK image. So channel masks are useful in making intricate, fringed, or wispy-edged selections like hair. You can create a channel mask based on a dominant color in an image or pronounced contrast in an isolated channel. To get started, we're going to use a set of tools focused on creating and refining masks collected up in a task space called Select and Mask. And inside this task space, we're going to use the Select Subject tool to get a head start on the mask that we're going to use to separate the model from the background here. And then we'll refine the mask using some other Select and Mask tools like the Quick Selection tool. So over here in our Layers panel, you want to make sure that both layers are visible. Remember that you can nudge this upwards if you want a little more room. It's being a little stubborn here. Okay, there we go. It really does not want to move. So, okay, fine. We'll just leave it as it is. And that might be because I only have 2 layers. But normally I can move it up. We want to select the model layer, which is selected and highlighted, And then we'll go up to our select menu way at the top here, and we'll choose select and mask. Now that's going to open up this special workspace. And actually right now, I don't have the default. So the default, probably what you're going to see when you open it up is this transparent onion skin. So this would indicate masked areas, but because we haven't selected anything, this checkerboard pattern covers the entire image. We'll probably go over this later, but there are different ways that you can view this. So just start out as I am with the onion skin. Now in the options bar, we want to choose select subject. And sorry, I'm going to move this. I'm looking for if you can't find it, like I can't find it right now, just go up to select and we're going to choose subject. I don't know why I'm not seeing it, but anyway, you can, there's multiple ways to do things in Photoshop. So what Photoshop just did was it just used advanced machine learning technology to identify typical subjects of a photo, like people. So that's what happened here. The selection isn't always perfect, but it's a great start. And so we'll try a different view so that we can see how well Photoshop did with this selection. We'll go back to that view mode and we'll click the menu here and we're going to choose overlay. Now we can see more clearly areas where Photoshop might have missed, or maybe it got a little crazy and went too far into the subject. So when you're doing this on your own, you can try these different ways of looking at your mask and see which one gives you the best view of the selection that you've made and allows you to continue to edit it. So there's a few areas that were missed by when we did select subject, and we're going to add to them by using the quick selection tool. So over here, got a series of tools. This is the quick selection tool, and there should be a toolbar that pops up. And everything I'm telling you today is not happening, but you'll recognize some of these tools. And the quick selection tool is the one that looks like a brush and a dotted circle around it. And in the options bar, we want to set up a brush size with about 15 pixels, which we've done. You want to make sure that you're adding to your selection. And then we can zoom in, or we can just work as is. Here's a zoom bar, and maybe I should zoom in just a little bit. We're going to use this to drag over areas that we might have missed. So let's see in here. Okay, that wasn't bad. We can go along here. And actually it's not bad. So if I go too far, I can just click the deselect and I can go back, kind of fill that in. And I went a little too far there. Okay. So I'm going to scroll up, and I don't see any other areas that look bad. And you can keep clicking and dragging. You don't have to hold on to your mouse. And so where we drag with this, it teaches the quick selection tool which areas should be revealed and which areas are not masked. So you don't want to drag this quick selection tool past the model's outline, because then it's going to teach the quick selection tool to include part of the background, and as I did a little bit earlier. So don't worry about total perfection right now. Let's go up to the view menu here and let's look at it on layers. I'm going to go actually back to fit on screen so we can see the entire image. And now we can see how the settings that we have look over the layers that are behind the model. Go ahead and look at the edges at high magnification. So let's go ahead and zoom in to like 400%. And we're just gonna scroll around. One of the things you can see is a telltale glow. This is an indication, this is very common when you select backgrounds. We can see I have a little bit too much background or masked right here and right here. So just scroll around, take a look, and that glow is something you want to get rid of. And then we can see that we kind of chopped off her hair a little bit. Okay, we're going to take care of some of those edge gaps in the hair. Let me scroll down here real quick. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and refine it. I'm going to decrease, I'm going to back off just a little bit. And if I hold down the Alt or Option key, the zoom tool turns into a minus tool, and I can reduce back to 300%. Excuse me. So in this workspace, the Refine Edge brush tool is designed to mask edges with challenging details. So let's go up to these little bits of hair that stick out from the model's bun, and we'll select the Refine Edge brush tool, which is the next one down from the Refine Edge tool. And in the option bar, we want to set up a brush with of about 20 pixels, so just a little bit larger. And we want to make sure this is a very hard brush. When you choose a hard brush, it means you have very clean edges. When you would want to soften or fuzzy up your brush would be when you want to have a more softer edge, a little bit more blending into the background. But since we're trying to get these little hairs, we'll keep it pretty much hard. And then from the view menu, we'll go over here and we'll go back to overlay, so we have that really good contrast. And then we'll just drag this between the hair bun and the ends of the hair where the selection needs to be improved. And as we drag this, you should see hairs extending out and are now included in our selection. And you can go over that a couple times, but that looks pretty good. Let's make sure that's included. And then scroll down to the loop of the hair that falls over the back of the shirt. So I have to move. If I press my space bar, I can scroll down there, and we're looking at this. And then you can see that the original background is showing a little bit inside here, and it needs to be replaced with the our new background. So we're going to use this Refine Edge to add that loop interior to the mask. We'll leave, we're going to reduce the size a little bit to about 15%. And again, if you want to, you can just type in your values here. And we still want this to be a very hard brush. So now let's drag this over any obscured hairs. And we can see the mask is growing. But we're keeping those fine hairs. I'm just going to go in here. You can just kind of scroll around and see any places where you think that. And if you go accidentally in too far, just hit Command Z, Command or Control Z, or go up to the Edit menu and go Undo one step. And I'm just kind of cleaning up the edge of the hair a little bit using the Refine Edge tool. Oops, and I don't like that, so I'm going to undo that. Now there's some more tips in your book about using Select and Mask. So I'll let you read those at, as you have time. And if you don't have that, just, and I can scan in a page or something and show you. And now I'm going to zoom back out. And then I'm going to choose from my view menu, black and white. So go ahead and check out the mask at different magnifications. And then so we can zoom in and take a look around at the mask. And then when you're done, you want to fit it on the screen again. And if you see any other hairs or other details that are masked but need to be revealed, just drag the Refine brush tool over them. So you'll go back to that Refine Edge. And actually, we're looking pretty good. So I don't think there's too much we need to do here. We can try going over a little bit and see how that looks. It's okay if the brush is a little bit larger than the details you want to mask, and you don't have to drag it too precisely. And then if we see any areas that need to be erased, like if you added any interior areas incorrectly to the mask, just drag the Refine Edge brush over the mistakes while holding down Alt if you're on a Windows, or Option if you're on the Mac, and that will add those to the selection again. So at this point, the mask is in pretty good shape, but we'll just tighten it up again by working with our global refinement settings. So we'll go back to our view menu and we'll go back to on layers. And this is nice because we're actually making adjustments over the background layer that we're going to be using, so we can be very accurate. And in the global refinement area, which is down here, you want to move the sliders to create a smooth, unfeathered edge along the face. So let's zoom in just a little bit while we do this, so you can see. The optimal settings are going to depend on your original selection, but they'll probably be similar to what the book has done. They bumped up the smooth slider, and I'm just going really slowly, so hopefully you can see while I do the numbers, to create a smoother outline. Then we don't want to feather that skin, but we do want to, if we increase the contrast, we can make the transitions a little more abrupt between selection and mask. So I'm going to creep this up to about 20, and hopefully you can see the changes as I do that. And then we're going to shift the edge to about -15, and that is going to move the selection border inward and help remove that unwanted glow. So this is really something to remember when you do your selections. If you get a little bit of an aura or a glow, just go up to Select and Mask and shift your edge inward, and that will really help. Now we'll take one more look by fitting it on the screen and see if we need to make any more changes. It looks pretty good to me. So we're gonna output this. Once you're finished and you're satisfied with your preview, you can create the final output as a selection, as a layer with transparency, a layer mask, or a brand new document. On this project, we want to use this as a layer mask on the model layer. So we've been working on the model layer all along. So you can collapse these. The next one down is the output settings. And if it's hidden, you just click the sideward facing arrow so that they're revealed. We'll make sure we're zoomed in a little bit, about 200. We want to see the light fringing around the face. That's due to the original model's background. And it's not bad, but we could go ahead and click decontaminate colors, and that kind of suppresses any color fringe coming onto her skin. And if you do this and you get any unwanted artifacts, you can start reducing the amount. So we'll just bump this all the way down to about 25%. And then we've got our output here, and it's going to new layer with layer mask. So if you look here, there's all the different things that you can do. And we'll just go ahead and say okay, because that's what we want to happen. And now, back at our original image, the model copy layer. So we were working on a model, but now we have model copy, and we have a layer mask that was generated by the select and mask. And the layer was copied instead of just applied, the mask applied, because we used the decontaminate colors option. And when you use decontaminate colors, it requires that new pixels are generated. By creating a new layer, it ensures that this original model layer is preserved and it's automatically hidden. You can see that the eye icon is turned off. So if we wanted to start over for some reason, we could delete the model copy number or layer and then start again using the original model layer. And if the mask isn't perfect, you can edit it at any time. So when the mask thumbnail, the layer mask thumbnail is selected and it has this line around it, excuse me, you can click the select and mask button up in the properties panel or in the option bar if you have any selection tool selected. There's select and mask up there. Or you can go always up to select and choose select and mask. But we're pretty happy, so we'll just save our work at this point. Now we're going to create a quick mask so that we can change the color of the glasses frames. So the first thing we'll do though is clean, and this is really bothering me that Photoshop is not allowing me to expand my layers palette. It's just not moving. So you can scroll within there. I hope you guys can see that. We're going to go ahead and hide the magazine background layer so that we can concentrate on the model. We want to make sure that the model copy layer is selected. And in the tools panel, we want to edit in quick mode. So over here, let me see. Hold on just 1 second. I'm not seeing edit in quick mask mode over here. Oops, let's. Okay, well that's all right because we can do it here. Let me move this aside. Yep. Let me figure out where quick mask mode is hiding. You guys, I'm not. I've done some updates, and if anyone is seeing it and I'm not seeing it, should be in the tools panel. Quick mask mode should be, oh, aha. Let's see if that's it. Nope, still not appearing. Might have to skip over this part. I'm really confused as to where my quick mask mode is on. That's my layer mask. All right, I may, oops. Someone's under the paintbrush. Let's see. Nope. Shouldn't be hidden. It's usually under here. So I may have to just skip over this part. It's really strange. My quick mask mode has disappeared. Okay. Let's put this back on screen. So if you don't have this problem, you'll be able to, let's see if I can see it here. Oops, hang on, I'll move this aside. Let me just try resetting. Oh, there we go. Okay, lesson learned. Remember last week when we were working in the graphic and web workspace? Make sure you are back in the Essentials workspace. And voila, my quick mask icon has appeared. And that's probably why I wasn't able to, I'm so sorry, but this really is a learning tool because it will happen to you. So underneath my default color swatches are is a little icon. And if I click that, I am now in quick mask mode. And in quick mask mode, a red overlay is going to appear as I make a selection, and it's going to mask the area outside of the selection, just the way we did in the when we selected the model. but it'll just look a little bit different. It looks more like the way photographers used to mask out parts of a photograph using rubylith or red acetate. So you can apply changes to the unprotected area that is visible and selected. Now, in the layers panel, the highlight color over here is now this reddish color, and that does tell you, kind of alert you that you're working in quick mask mode. So in the tools panel now, we'll select the brush tool, and in the option bar at the top, we want to make sure that the mode is normal. Want to open up your brush pop-up menu and choose a smallish brush, or you can put in the size. So I'm just going to bump this down to about, they have it at about 13, 12 is fine. And we want a very hard brush, so I will pull this all the way back up to 100%. And then just click outside of it to close that panel. And then let's paint over the earpiece of the glasses frame. And then the area that I paint is going to appear red. So I'll zoom in just a little bit. Go back to my paintbrush tool. So as this turns red, this indicates that I'm creating a mask. I'm sort of hiding the glasses frame right now. So I want to go around, I want to go ahead and hide the frame of the glasses. And as you get near the edges, it might be useful to lower your brush size. You guys have your mic on? And you can quickly change the brush size by hitting your bracket keys. Press that on the fly. So I'm just going to try to get all the glasses, and I'm using a mouse. If you were using a stylus, you could do this a little, more accurately. I'm going to go up here to the hair, and then I'm going to try to go around. I don't want to get the glasses themselves, the glass part. I just want to get the frame. I'm just kind of painting inside here. I've lowered my brush size, and going down in here. You can zoom in as much as you want for this. If you make a mistake, just hit edit undo and zoom back in. And now I'm going to reduce my brush size again by using the bracket keys and try to get these really skinny areas here. Hey guys, somebody has their mic on, just so you know. Okay, and then get a pretty good selection there. So I got a mask. If you make a mistake, hold down Alt or Option. Oops, nope. Change your default colors, and you can paint back in over your mistake. So you can refine it that way just by painting with black and white. When I paint with black as the foreground color, I'm applying the mask. And when I paint with white, I'm taking away from the mask. So again, you can zoom in as much as you want. But anyway, go ahead and if you wanted, so black totally adds to the mask, makes it completely red. Painting with white erases the mask. And then if you wanted to, you could paint with gray, which would add semi-transparent areas to the mask, where dark shades are more masked and lighters are less masked. So you could experiment with that if you wanted. Then we'll just go over and click the quick mask button again, and that is going to let us exit the quick mask mode. And now we have a selected area, which is the area of the glasses. And because we want to change we don't want to mask the glasses. We actually want to mask everything else so that we can change the color of the glasses frame. But it was much easier to select just the glasses. So now we'll just go up to our select menu and we will inverse our selection. Okay. Not sure that did it. Let me zoom back out. I want to make sure. Okay, I want to have all of the background masked, and I want to be able to edit just the glasses. So now we'll go ahead and add a hue saturation adjustment layer. And I'll pull this aside. And if we start to change the hue, whoops. Okay, so that starts to happen to you. Just cancel, go back to select, inverse, make sure you have the right thing selected. And then we'll do that again, edit, oops, adjustments, hue saturation, and then we want to slowly start changing the hue saturation to give it a green color. We'll go all the way up to 70, get that nice green color, and then we'll just say okay. Then you can deselect, and we've changed the color of our glasses. If you made a mistake somewhere on that, like you can see, I have a little bit, I went a little bit too much in her skin. The way to avoid that is to really zoom in when you're doing that initial selection and go ahead and refine that edge by painting with black or white. Okay, so now I think we want to, in order to make our final image, we want to warp her a little bit, because if you remember, she was looking up in the original picture. So we're gonna use Puppet Warp for that, and Puppet Warp is really fun. You can reposition areas like an arm or just a hair, just like you would pull the strings on a puppet. And you place pins where you want to control movement. So we'll use that to tilt her head back. Make sure you can see the entire model. Make sure that model copy layer is selected, and then we'll go up to our edit menu and we will choose Puppet Warp. Now a mesh is going to appear over all the visible areas of this layer, which of course is just the model. And we'll use this mesh to place pins where we want to control movement or where we want to ensure there is no movement. So go ahead and click to add pins around the body and along the base of the head. So we're going to, again, let me move this out of the way. I'll put it up here. I don't even know if you guys can see that little bar. But we're going to start down here, and I'm just going to click and add a pin. And we want to add about 10 to 12 pins. So I'll just go up here, up her neck. I kind of want to control right where her hair meets her head. Kind of want that to stay stable. And then we'll kind of go around here. And then back down. If you get a little more than 10, it's okay, but just keep clicking. Whoops, I think I was clicking outside of my selection, so I want to make sure I do stabilize her. Here we go. And I'll click another pin here. So these pins will keep this in place as we tilt the head. And then go ahead and select the pin at the nape of the neck. And when you do that, a little blue dot appears in the center of that pin, and that indicates that it's selected. Then you press Alt if you're working with Windows, or Option if you're working with Mac. And a larger circle appears around that pin with a curved double arrow next to it. Keep pressing Alt or Option and drag the pointer to tilt the head backwards. You can see the angle in the options bar or in this little pop-up here. We want to try to get her to about 170. Unfortunately for me, oh, there she goes. About 170. So that she's looking up now instead of straight ahead. And then when we're happy with that, we can go ahead and make sure that I did that. Yep. Then we can go ahead and commit our changes there and save our work. So you can see it's a kind of subtle, but now our head is lifted up. We made quite a bit of changes so far. Now we want to create a shadow so that she has a shadow onto the background. And as different information in an image is stored on different layers, channels also let you access specific kinds of information. So there are alpha channels, and they store selections just as grayscale images. And then there are color information channels, which store information about each particular color in an image. So if your color mode is RGB, you're going to have red, green, blue, and composite channels. And if you're working in CMYK, you're going to have cyan, you're going to have yellow, black, red, and or magenta, sorry, and the composite channels. So if you get confused about that, just think of channels as containing color information and selection information. And then layers contain paintings, shapes, text, and other content like that. We're going to use an alpha channel to set up a selection which we're going to fill with black on a layer to create a shadow. And we already have, we already have a mask of the model. So to create a shadow, we want to duplicate the mask and then shift it over. And we'll use our alpha channel to make that possible. In the Layers panel, you want to Control-click if you're using Windows, or Command-click the layer thumbnail on the model copy layer, and that selects our mask. And then, you know what? I am thinking I did puppet warp on my layer thumbnail. Let's see how this works. Making a lot of mistakes today because well, we'll see how it works. So the masked area is selected, and then I'm going to go up to Select, and I want to save selection. Yes. I did a mistake there. Okay. Guys, I feel bad today because I can't save this selection. Oh, here we go. Now I can save it. Let's try that. And then I want a new channel, and I want to name it model outline. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I didn't make a mistake earlier. So nothing appears to change, but in the channels panel, we have a new channel that's named model mask or model outline. And that was added at the bottom. So back in the layer panel, we're going to create a new layer by clicking the icon at the bottom of the layers panel. And then we want to drag this new layer below the model copy layer. That's where we'll have our shadow. Double click this and rename it shadow. And then with this layer selected, we'll want to go up and to our select menu and choose select and mask again. Click on the view menu and choose on black. And in the select and mask, want to shift the edge. Let's see. Down here in global refinements to 36%. You can see that grows a little bit as I do that. And then in the output selection or area, which is below global refinements, we want to make sure that we output to selection and click OK. Now we're going to go up to edit and we're going to fill this. We want to fill it with black. And now we have a filled in black outline of the model. And this is not looking right to me. I feel like I made a mistake back there. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to, if you want to bear with me, I'm going to back up a few steps and see if I can do this again. Okay, so I'm just going to throw that in the trash, go back up here, Command click my layer thumbnail. I'm going to make sure I trash that as well. Yes. Oh dear, we didn't want to do that. Undo. Okay. Model mask, model outline, that's what I wanted to. Okay, we'll just go on. Command, oops, get out of, shouldn't be in, make sure you're not in, there we go, okay, in quick mask mode. Select, let's, I just want the model selected. So now I will save the selection. I'll name it yeah, that's good. Add a layer. Drag this down below the model copy. Name it shadow. Select and mask. This looks a little bit better to me. I'm viewing it on black. I've got my shift edge. I'll go to about 36%. Okay, that's okay. Output to selection. Okay. Now I will fill that. See if we get it right the second time. With black. Yeah, that's a little bit better, I think. And now on the shadow layer, what has happened, you guys, is because I have this outline instead of the whole mask of the model, I'm only getting sort of a shadowy outline instead of a filled in shadow. So let me deselect this. And it's not looking good at all. This part really did not turn out the way it should. So I feel like I did something amiss. Yeah, see, that should be a filled in copy of the model. And then you could shift it to the side like this or like forward, and it would be filled in. It wouldn't be this outline. So I'll have to go back and retrace my steps, and I'll try to post. But over here, I should be seeing, it does have this in the book, but I should be seeing a gray, a fully filled black area here. And what I would do would be to reduce the opacity and rotate it a little bit. So I'll figure out what I did wrong, and I will post it in the announcements. If anybody else has figured already, you can let me know. But that's the end of this chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide that for now. And I will stop recording and you guys. So that concludes chapter 6.